Hello, we are back actually to quick bites. So today's lesson will be short, just kind of like a small observation. Our text for today is found in book of Isaiah in chapter 44, verses from 6 to 8. And we'll concentrate on the titles that Lord attributes himself. Actually, we have 7 things that are mentioned, 6 pretty distinguished titles. Each of them deserves, hours and hours of talking, hours and hours of classes, or maybe seminars, or books, or whatever. But it's very interesting how Lord brings it together, brings it to present himself the way which is very unique for this part of the Bible, for this passage of the Bible, and we'll see how it reflects at the very end of our scriptures. So, the first 6 are pretty obvious, okay? If we will read, it says following: Thus says the Lord, the King of Israel, his Redeemer, the Lord of hosts, I am the first and I am the last. Beside me, there is no God. So, it's 6 of them. The Lord, or Yahweh, he proclaims his personal name. That's how, if you enter a room during the party full of people and you see your friend over there and you yell and not scream, but you want to address somebody, you say, Andrew. That's what it is. So his name is Yahweh. The second title is the King of Israel. Third, his Redeemer. Fourth, Lord of hosts. Or, if we will be more specific, the Lord of armies. Because Tsavaot, Tsava, I know it's hard for English ear, for it's Ts. Sometimes we transcribe it as either TS or TZ, Tsavaot, and Ot is plural, so it's armies. On one hand, it might be the groups of anything that fills the universe. On the other, we should not dismiss the military content or military context for this title. And then the 5th one is, I am the first and I am the last. Then, it's not really a title, it's more like a description. There is no one beside me, or beside me there is no God, there is no Elohim, there are no, and since Elohim has a plural ending, we can take it as gods or higher powers. There are no higher powers they can sit to or next to our God. There are higher powers, we know of them. There are things that we have no control over. Sun, we do not control sun. On the other hand, sun controls, in some sense, our crops. Because if we will have burning sun and no water, and that would be another controlling power, we will be in a stage of drought. Look into the story of Joseph. Sometimes we cannot control money or market, and fluctuations of stocks really has effect on us, and sometimes we are not in control of that. There are other powers. We are in the present are under control of a particular power that has more control on the present time than we are. We are in pandemic. We are under control of one tiny bitty thing that we can hardly see through the microscope, that virus that really influences our life. Yet, there are no powers that are equal to God. All of those powers that I just named, or you can think of, regardless how anxious they can make you, are lower than the influence of our God. He is the highest power. He is the one. Then there is another The seventh thing is not really a thing, it's not a title, it's more description. There is nobody, verses 7 and 8, if you read them carefully, I'm not going to do it for sake of time. When you read them carefully, it talks about the control over time. There are no gods that control time except our God. He is, if we look back, there is no time when there was no God. And if we look in the future with whatever hopes and expectations we have, some people hope for there will be nothing. Some people hope for whatever their dream is. Whatever the dreams are, regardless of our dreams, there will be no time when there will be no God. And in the middle of that, so in the middle of this 7 statements, kind of like not in the real center, but closer to the middle. The 5th one, as I already noted, is I am the first and I am the last. Actually, the first comes from the word which is really closely related to the beginning of the Bible. So I am the beginning and I am the last. On the other hand, I am the head. And that's why, not only, but there are a few reasons why we need to connect it with Jesus. First of all, as we know, he is the head of the church. Secondly, this phrase, I am the first and the last, actually appears in the book of Revelation in verse 17, second part. When Jesus addresses John, he basically starts with, fear not. Actually, the phrase that shows up in our text in verse 8. So, when Jesus addresses John in Revelation chapter 1, verse 17, part B, fear not, I am the first and the last. I am the living. I died, and behold, I am alive forevermore, and so on and so forth. And it is truly so. Because if we go back to our Isaiah passage, he is the living one, which Yahweh should be translated. He is the king of Israel. So when they rejected him, let me rephrase it, when Israel said to Pilate, we have no king but Caesar, it was not only a kind of like a social political statement, it was a theological statement. They rejected that king. And that king got his powers because he is the Redeemer. And Redeemer, it's very loaded word in Hebrew. Let's simplify it into two main meanings. One of them is he is an avenger. I know some of you probably like this Marvel series on Avengers and so on and so forth, but he is the avenger. He is the one. On the other hand, he is the one who buys back his beloved ones from slavery. He gathers his beloved ones back into the family circle. So he is the first, he is the last. He is the beginning, he is the end, and whatever it puts in these brackets, in these parentheses, he is the one who is higher than any other power. He is the one that will carry us through any kind of challenge as long as we are faithful to him. Stay blessed.